So we did this experiment in person, but I just wanted to videotape it for you again so you could try it at home if you want to. So as a scientist, this is a habitat experiment. And what I start with as a scientist is a question. So my question is, which one is easier to make? The mud nest, while it does use some grass, it is mostly made out of mud. Or the grassy nest. But again, it's probably made out of a little bit of mud. Which one's easier for a bird to make? So the things I needed for this experiment are, I needed something that would be a lot like the mud. So I chose Play-Doh to be a lot like the mud. And then I needed something to be a lot like the grass or the straw that a bird would pick up. So I have that. The last thing I needed for this experiment is to act like a bird. And to act like a bird means that I need a beak, and I don't have a beak, but I can make my hands resemble or copy a beak. So what I'm going to do is going to take out my Play-Doh first so that I can be ready. So I've got my Play-Doh here as the mud, and I've got my grass. And then I'm going to make my hands into a beak, and that means that I need to use a rubber band. So I'm going to take a rubber band around my fingers to make it like a big sort of beak. Just the top 3 fingers, really, because that is the one I need. I can't use my fingers like a finger because birds don't have that. But birds do have little feet and little claws too, so I can try to do that with my little 2 pinky and thumb finger. So here I have a beak. I need to resemble the other one as a beak, so that's really helping me. But again, birds don't even have 2 beaks. They just have 1. So if I really had to sink it down, maybe I'll try the challenge of using just one of my hand beaks as the thing. I did originally use 2 to try this out, but maybe how fast can I do 1? All right, let's put a timer on my little clock here, and let's see if I can, how much I can do in 2 minutes. I'll give myself 2 minutes with a bird beak. All right, with the clock time on its way, 2 minutes. Oh, that's not 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Start that now. Let me try to make my mud one. All right, so I've got one-handed mud here. Okay. Really being able to like kind of circle it and move it and move it. Ugh. It is kind of resembling that kind of thing. But I can make it just a little bit higher so that it really is sturdy enough for some eggs, but really push it down. Okay, this is doing well, and I still have a minute left, 30 seconds actually. Okay, maybe we'll just do it for a minute. Okay, it's getting higher, but it's still hard. Huh, okay. It's really all I feel like I can do with as much mud as I have. Okay, so that was just a minute. I took a minute on my clock, so I'll move that back for a minute with just doing a minute with the grass. So here's a minute. Here's a real mud nest. Here's my Play-Doh mud nest. That worked out pretty well, even with one-handed. But now, let's try one-handed, trying to make, or one-beaked, one-beaked, trying to make with the grass one. Again, I'm not using this hand, so I'm going to put the 1 minute timer on here and really try to weave and bend this grass to my liking. The hard part is grass can fall, it's very loose. Oh. Now this is much harder to make the grass do what I want it to do with one. I don't even know, like, maybe if I just did one. I really want to use my second beak or my second hand, but that's hard. Oh, okay, what if I did this? Okay, there's just like a circle, but that's not good enough for a nest. But if I started with a circle, will that help get the other ones there? Oh man, that's too hard. Wow, this takes a lot of, some of my grass is falling. 10 seconds left and I've got nothing. If I can roll it maybe I can roll it kind of. Wow. Well, that looks a little bit better if I, oh, My timer just went off for a minute of this. So now, let's see. This one versus what Mrs. Lash made with one hand. Holy moly. So the one that was easier to mold was the mud. But the mud requires some rainwater and stuff. I can't just pick up dirt and make it do the same thing. So this might have the harder material to find. This is the harder one to make just on my own. Wow. So if you want to replicate this experiment, you might use some Play-Doh, one hand or two. You can use a rubber band to kind of fuse your fingers together to be a beak like a bird and do this. I wonder if you have different techniques or ways to get the grass to stay together. We know how Play-Doh stays together, but how does a bird intricately make this without a hand, with just a beak and its claws? Now it does have its claws to kind of put things in there, but it's really got to mold that grass to do what it wants to, like Play-Doh. I just don't know how to mold something that's like grass to do what Play-Doh does. Birds are so amazing. So go off and try this experiment if you have any pipe cleaners or things, and give yourself a time limit, maybe the same time limit for one as the other. Try doing it with 2 beaks with a time limit, and then maybe try doing it with 1 beak with a time limit, and really see how easy is it for an animal to make these habitats.